Welcome to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. I'm Stuart Wellborn, a British author and former therapist, and each week I sit down with Wa-Na-Nee-Che, a spiritual elder from Turtle Island, to explore the deeper truths behind healing, ceremony, and connection to Source.
Okay, when you were asking about the life force energies, one of the things I forgot to say was the fact that as human beings, we are part of nature. Everything above, below, and upon the earth are part of us. And that because we can do things that they can't do, they're supposed to help us. Now, if they don't help us and they become a hindrance, then we as human beings can deal with them.
Right, so parasites then, basically,
Yeah.
was what we're on about. That.
Parasites aren't there. They're there for a reason, but because of our lifestyle, sometimes we invite the parasites to basically, again, become part of us as human beings. And like, say, for instance, a lot of times because we're no longer healthy and our immune system is, these parasites, their job is to destroy the body after you're gone. But they're getting confused because the way we are, they already think we're dead when we're alive. Because of the things we do, the things we say, the things we eat. So again, it's not so much their fault, it's more or less our fault because we don't prevent it.
Well, how do you prevent fleas on a dog then, since we were talking about the
Well, the
fleas?
fleas aren't really supposed to be there unless they serve a purpose. So if they're there to basically irritate the dog or irritate the animal, then well, goodbye.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But they must have a role in nature, fleas must
Yeah,
have. I mean, does something eat fleas? I don't know.
I don't think so. Not sure. A
Spiders,
lot of
maybe?
times too, things are created when we create an imbalance. Well, maybe the flea itself wasn't here at one time, but it became a parasite because of what we did here on the earth.
Well, I was going to say mosquitoes as well, but there's lots of things eat mosquitoes, frogs and
But then again,
birds.
don't we create swamps?
Well, nature creates some of them.
We, we create swamps and we create basically waste that we don't take care of. So all of a sudden, here comes a bunch of flies.
Well, it's all ecosystems, isn't it? So I'm sure that something somewhere eats a flea, but like fleas can jump really high, can't they? I'm not
There's only one way to get rid of flies. You take their wings off and then they become wasps.
sure. That's cruel, though.
Hmm.
So, since we're on that kind of subject, like Buddhists, as you were saying, like some monks and things go on about you shouldn't harm anything. And as you said, there are invisible things that we um, are killing all the time without realizing it. What's your stance on us eating animals then?
Well, again, the animal was given to us to nourish us. In the old ways, and say, for instance, your tribe was basically suffering. So you went out, say, hunting. The elder buffalo would actually come to you to be shot.
Really?
So there were certain type of ceremonies, that you would do. And then if nature basically felt sorry for you, they would provide you.
How much of your ancestors' diet would have been meat then? Because there'd have been berries and whatever, and
Well, it was a kind of a, the Ojibwas themselves were more or less, they would eat meat, but they were a lot of basically vegetarians because they knew how to grow and harvest plants, corn and other. When you look at society, how many types of things were given to society by native people, but they were never, how would you say, given credit for things.
What do you mean by that?
Well, say for instance, herbal medicine. Scientists will brag that they found a cure for things. Well, they didn't find a cure for things until they finally found what native people used in the herbal energies to do certain sicknesses. So the only reason they found the reason is they discovered the how do you say it, the secrets of the indigenous people and how they were utilizing herbs already. I mean, before Europe even sat there and, how would you say it, learned to walk, I mean, native people were doing brain surgery. They were doing heart surgery. And when the Spanish came over and they found out that they burnt all those books saying it was Satan's work. I mean, they had dentists that worked on your teeth long before, the Europeans and Asians ever even dreamt about it.
So
It's like
basically, they didn't discover it; they came and nicked it.
yeah, when we look at potatoes, potatoes basically was one of the things that they used to deter the Black Plague. I mean, the peelings themselves, if you do it right, the peelings of potatoes, certain type of potatoes, are basically good for, trying to think, it was just here a while ago, that one disease, hepatitis. If you knew how to make it and knew how to basically add certain herbal energies into it, it was a cure for hepatitis.
Obviously, the massacres of all the tribes all those years ago, a lot of your indigenous wisdom would have been lost, would it?
Well, it was not really lost or misplaced. It was put into dormancy. So that if people decided that they want to become indigenous again, the information is out there, but unfortunately, people don't want to become indigenous. They don't want to mend the sacred hoop. And when we're talking about energies, a lot of people don't realize one of the reasons why we honored the animals so much is because the animals were healers themselves. Your dog and your cat are good for your heart. They help you with your high blood pressure. So, even simple house pets that we don't even realize that they are healers and they don't recognize them as healers. Like I was telling you before we got cut off last time, Grizzly was telling me that he had arthritis and that he cured his arthritis. And I looked at him, I said, "No, you didn't cure your arthritis." He said, "Well, I don't have it anymore." I said, "Grizzly," I said, "look at your dog. He can hardly walk on his hind legs. He healed you and he took the arthritis onto himself. So you didn't cure yourself." I said, "Your dog did." So if you can connect with these energies, they can become healers because they got certain type of gifts. I don't know if you remember the story about this one cat in England. Remember that the cat would always go into the room, and basically the next day that person would pass on.
Hmm.
Was the cat basically telling him that that person was going to die? No, the cat was saying, "Look, this person needs attention, or she's going to die, or he's going to die." But again, because we weren't connecting, we didn't realize the real message of what that cat was trying to say. To keep an eye on her. That's what the cat was saying.
Well, what I was trying to say, about lost wisdom, like you were just saying about potato skins of a certain strain of potatoes would cure hepatitis. Has a lot of that kind of indigenous wisdom been lost though over time? Like for example, the burning of the Library of Alexander has taken away a lot of like ancient texts, but still some ancient texts survive. Would you say a big chunk of your wisdom did get lost during that time or not?
It wasn't so much lost. What happened is that they put it away. because society was abusing it and they weren't using it right. So it was decided by the energies, life force energies, that it would no longer be available until people were ready to learn that particular gift, that particular energy on how to heal.
So how would it return then? Would it just be a particular person would have the gift, or
Well, every person upon the earth has a gift, but if you don't know what the gift is, there's nothing you can do. And they don't want to take the time to basically use the tools to find out who they are. They think it's more easier to go to the bank, withdraw money, and use the money to say, okay, give me a certificate. Here's 300 pounds. It doesn't work that way. The whole idea is that if you sit there and take on an energy that's not yours, then you will never find your energy because you're living a false life.
okay? Because I obviously live on the other side of the pond to you, so I don't know how you guys live over there in America, apart from what I see on the news. Um, with all the horrendous things that the settlers did to your ancestors and things, not only the massacres and things, but taking away your land, taking away, trying to crush your beliefs and things, introducing like plagues and illnesses and alcohol, because I don't know if that is just something I've seen in films, but they often in films kind of say that, you the fire water, you got all into that. So people of your heritage, how many of them are still into the old ways and how many have forgotten them, would you say?
No, not that many. In fact, one of the elders had a post that said, "Where the hell was ice in 1492?"
Yeah. That's a good one.
They said we could have used them. But when the migration over here, most of the indigenous people live by the heart. So they were very compassionate, not knowing what was going to happen to them. And then when their eyes were finally opened, it was too late. So again, when there are still elders out there that have the knowledge, but most of the knowledge they have is how to get people to use tools to discover who they are. It's we never tell people who they are because number one, when we sit there and give information that we're not supposed to be given, we take it away from that individual. It now belongs to us, which we have no use for. So we have to really be careful when we're working with people to make sure they understand that it is up to them. We'll give you, I'll give them all the help they want in workshops. If they ask questions, I'll give them the answers. I will show them how to use tools. And when they have their visions, when they're sleeping at night, they have a vision, I can explain the vision to them and what they have to do in order to advance a little bit further.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask Matthew something because you said something about love and then he giggled in the background and the microphone picked it up. What are you laughing at, Matthew?
Oh, I was just laughing at me. That's all.
Oh, right.
It's
So
just
it
a guy
wasn't about.
holding a chainsaw blade in between his legs, and it says they walk among us, and I'm like, not anymore.
I got you. So you
We're
weren't
forgetting,
laughing at what we were talking about. That's all right then.
love is a four-letter word. You know,
Okay, right.
it's funny that that would come up because how many people in a relationship says, I love you and don't mean it? It's just to get their way. It's to get something that they want. Oh, I love you, honey. Will you do this?
Well, there
And
are
the
different
partner
types
goes,
of love in there
okay.
because, like, I love my dog, but then that's different to when I was in a relationship and was in love with a woman. I also like fish and chips.
You just got a complaint here. As soon as you said that you love your dog, but in a relationship, the dog comes on and says, "What you talking about?" No, you can love your dogs, you can love your pets, but you have to extend that love to other people as well. And if you're saying things like when you work with your dog, say for instance, the love you have for your dog, they feel it. But in a relationship, then does the other individual feel it when you say it? And how do you mean it? You can't love something until you know it, until you basically connect with that energy. But we sit there first day and a night to get a kiss. Why, I love you. Oh, yeah, we use it to get things. Yeah, we use love to get things that we want, not what both people want. It's just like when they say, what type of relationship would you have? I say a relationship where I can please the individual that I'm with, because the more pleasure that individual gets, the more pleasure I get.
Okay, since we're on that subject, then, um, because in certain traditions, like, oh, I've forgotten the yogic tantric, isn't it? Like, sex is part of spirituality, but
Uh-huh.
also, there's the animal base level of sex. So, what is the your philosophy around sex? Then, is it a spiritual thing or just a reproductive thing?
I just got whispered in my ears. That's why a lion is lying. Because what they say, he has he has intercourse almost what 50 times a day.
Yeah. So why, from your perspective, is there a spiritual element to sex, or is it just like ego satisfaction and reproduction?
There's no relationship to spirituality with sex.
None.
Sex is a word used to pleasure yourself. Whereas if you have the sharing of energy, now both people get something out of it. But you have to find out what type of energy you need to share, and you need to be sincere. That's why it's always good to, rather than just go on a date and come home, jump in bed. No, that's not what it's all about. The whole thing is about is basically getting to know the person, and then basically saying that there's a need and that there's a possibility of fulfilling that need, but it has to be more than sex. It has to be basically something that's natural, something that both energies crave.
Well, society has a straight, well, depending on what country you're in, I guess, but has weird phases around it because obviously the 60s were very promiscuous with the free love. The Victorian age, it was behind closed doors. My generation, Generation X, I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but I was in the Navy at the time, and a girl in every port. Well, I don't know about every port, but certainly plenty of ladies in my home port. And there was definitely nothing more than going out, getting drunk, and getting laid kind of thing going on.
But again, it was like a psychological control that it was expected
Yeah,
because of all the information, all the stories you heard and everything else. So it was expected that you had a girl in every port.
I get confused by what is going on currently because everybody's talking about being all these different types of sexualities and
Uh,
things, yet at the
You
same
want to know what's
time,
more confusing than
they're
that?
what's my friend
what?
saying?
I say, you want to know what's more confusing than that?
Go on then.
New math.
New what?
How math is done. New math compared to old math. You know how that works, right? How the educational teaches math nowadays.
Oh, mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure what you said because you call it math, we call it maths over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
Just like glaciers, a glacier.
So what's going on with maths then over there now?
Well, new math is multiply. Was it multiply divide comes first before add and subtract.
That's bid maths, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how new math works here. It's basically you do if you see like 2 plus 2 times 4, you're supposed to do 2 times 4 first. 8, then you put 2 plus 8. That makes it 10. But old math would say 16.
I don't know about this old math, but I'm kind of going to go with you on that because I thought I did all right on my GCSE maths 30 years ago because I got a C, which was the highest I could get. And then people started to, because I always thought that left to right if it's in brackets and things. And then recently I've just redone my maths GCSE and got a higher grade. And I was like, oh, okay, like what you were saying about the timesing and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, did I miss that when I was at school, or was that because I just
Oh
didn't
no,
turn up to school?
that's new. It's just because uh we don't use the formula concept anymore, kinda, when it comes to new math. It's like the formula concept is different now. Like I said, if anything that has times and divide comes first, no matter what, kind of deal. It's like that's not how it works in formulas. If you look at like EMC, was it E equals MC two? Right? Yeah, and squared. There's a reason why that formula is set up like that.
Yeah. It's like the old
Energy
joke.
equals mass times the speed of light squared. Yes.
Yeah. It's like the old joke, right? When you're in high school, you have the algebra teacher come and convince you that pi r square, and we all knew pi was round.
Bit of a tangent to go from like sexuality to mathematics.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's just funny when I think of new math now.
That's why Matthew's first line just call me Matt.
Would you like to multiply? Oh, Lord Vader's coming, making a lot of noise.
It's funny.
Uh,
When you look at the Bible paper, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
according to the Bible, God told the human beings, go out and multiply. He never expected there would be 8.5 billion people on this earth that can't survive now. I said, it's time to say, okay, stop.
well, on that note, obviously there are certain people, you will know a few of these names in your country, that are taking up a huge chunk of wealth and land and things like that. Now, I'm not talking about everything, like being Marxist and sharing everything out or anything, but another thing I heard was if every single person on the planet was stood shoulder to shoulder, they would take up the space of Texas. So, is the world overpopulated, or is it just greedy people taking up most of the resources?
We're overpopulated by 4.5 billion people.
And why do you say that?
Because if we were at 4 billion, there'd be enough resources for everyone. But that's why people are starving, because there's too many people. That's why Africa's starving. There's too many people. I always laugh. I said, the Chinese are multiplying because they learned how to use rice, which is cheap to grow.
But there was starvation when the population was only at 4 billion. Is that just basically geographical problems then?
Yeah, again, it's that we, as human beings, especially men, seem to love sex too much, but they don't take the precaution. And that's why you have people with, look at Musk. What does he have? 14, 15 kids?
See,
Yeah. Different marriages? Because he thinks that he's rich, he can get anybody he wants.
well, I don't think it's just because
Yeah.
he's rich. I think it's because he's taking too many drugs as well, isn't he? He's trying to interfere with our politics over here now. There's like this far right lunatic that's a criminal that fleeces his followers called Tommy Robinson, real name Stephen Lennon or something.
Yeah.
Um, and apparently, I don't know if it's true, but Musk funded his court case or something.
Yeah. One of the signs, too, that overpopulation is what we've done to our food source. We have changed it. We have tried to make it so that it produces more. Then we use chemicals on it and we take it out of its natural form. So to feed the population, well, what happens if it's out of its form? It creates diseases. It creates imbalances. It knocks the hell out of your immunity system. So again, that's why you have all these lawsuits now coming against all these chemical companies that basically utilize chemicals to increase the growth and the production of plants. And they weren't meant to do that way. They were just meant to be natural. Now they're no longer natural. They're, how would you say it, abnormal.
Okay. So I'm trying to see if one of these questions here was any good. Where's he gone? All right, here we go. Question for you, because we've only got 5 minutes, well, just over 5 minutes left. Got a question that's come in. Why do I keep repeating the same emotional patterns even when I want to change?
Because number one, you stay in a relationship and it's a bad relationship, because you let there and yet your heart emotions get involved, you think you can change that person. And by trying to change that person, you'll never change yourself. Because the first thing you have to do is realize that the change has to come inside of you, and you can't let interference of the outside world influence you. Because again, if you have that kind heart and you wear your heart on your sleeve, it's going to take you off your pathway, and you will never evolve until you finally realize the best thing for you is to let that go. Yeah. And to do things that basically, again, you're meant to do. Just like in divorces, say, for instance, when I started divorce mediation way back about 40 years ago, I would always take a look and see and talk to both people to see what their main concern was. And I said, and then I'd come out and I'd say, in that relationship, it was never a good relationship, right? They say, no. Then why are you sitting there fighting it? It's a blessing in disguise because now you can find out exactly who you need to be or who you need to find. This was an experiment. This is what you don't like. This is what you like. So go find something you like. So it's very simple sometimes, but we get caught in that heart on the sleeve situation, and we always think that we can change people. People won't change unless they want to be changed.
But what about working on the self then? Because that was working with other people. But I mean, from a psychological perspective, I could give an answer to this on why, you want to change one of your bad behaviors or
Yeah.
habits, and you go so far, and then, something happens and you slip back into it.
Mhm.
Why do we do that? We really want to change, give up something bad, and then we struggle to do it.
One of the programs that they started a while back was that prison inmates would, some of these kids that were going a bad road, they would send them to the prison. And these convicts would talk to them, say, this is what's going to happen to you if you keep on this road, and make them realize, hey, something bad can happen to you if you keep going doing what you're doing. But it's up to you. If you want to change, we'll help you.
Okay, but there's got to be an easier route than going to prison and talking to
Yeah.
cons.
But they know why they went to prison. So now they can relay that information. How, if I was back there, I would do something different. So they give me information that they need to change their life. Otherwise, they're going to end up like they are.
Okay, but back to what I'm trying to get here. Maybe I'm not explaining myself, but an individual, a listener or a viewer has got a pattern, an emotional pattern that they want to change, but they still keep making the same mistake again.
Okay. Well, I always say make a list. What is good? What is bad? So then you look at it and say, do I want this? That's bad. Or do I want this which is good? So you end up just kind of one by one getting rid of all that negative stuff, and you start putting more and more down on your positive side. And then you become emotionally involved within your own goals in life rather than someone else's goal.
Right, we are getting close to we've got 2 minutes left, so don't want us to get cut off when you're saying something cool. But so on that note, then we'll wrap up on this. Is
Okay.
it an important step to actually do the writing of these things down then? Would that help more than just having it as a thought exercise?
Well, you remember what they say. Experience is a great teacher. But when something happens, we have to, what is the lesson? And if we can figure out what the lesson is, like remember what my dad said, if you do it once, forgive them. They do it twice, forgive yourself. If you do it a third time, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah, but what about is you, because I don't want to get cut off without you finishing this. You said write a list. Yeah.
Yep.
Is the actual writing an important step?
Yeah, because you can physically see it.
Good answer. And on that note, we will finish. And if anybody's got questions, do send them in. Thanks for listening to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. If you'd like to ask Wa-Na-Nee-Che a question, you can email me at stuart@realityresponsibility.com. The link will be in the description. And don't forget, you can download a powerful guided meditation for free at humancircleoflife.com.